Okay, so I'm back. It was the company that was over this morning, and I had offered to her daughter because if she was gonna be good at the dentist, that if she was good at the dentist, I would make her some beads because she liked my beads, but I didn't have any of the beads that she really liked. So I told her mom, I was like, well, if you let me know, or if you have paper, or if you go, because she goes out to Salvation Army and Goodwill and stuff all the time. Well, she doesn't like Goodwill. Goodwill's a little too expensive for her. But I told her, I said, keep your eye out for paper of any type, But anyway, she was visiting her mom at Hobby Lobby. I don't like shopping there, but sometimes I have to. But anyway, so she picked out two 12 by 12 papers, and there's this one. So her daughter picked out that color, so I'm going to make some long, probably 2-inch beads, because that's what her kid likes, is those really, because she was looking at all my beads that I had finished, and she liked the ones that were about that long, so about 1.5 inches. So they're going to be a little bit, they're going to be a little bit hard to roll, but this one is going to be a cool one. I've never worked with stripes, so I'll have to figure out. I think I'm going to probably cut it this way. That way you can see this the whole length up. Length? Length, the whole length up. And since I had to get up anyway, I picked up the papers that dropped on the floor. Now, all right, so I don't remember where I left off with the conversation because I didn't rewatch the video and where I was. So I think I was talking about, okay, so I got this call from this guy. Sorry. My thing got in the way of the viewfinder, or in front of the little thing over here. Anyway, so he's like, oh, you're a nice sister. And I was like, oh, those aren't words that I usually hear. Because I was never really a nice sister. And anyway, this one didn't roll well, but that's easy to fix. Once I finish rolling it, you can go quick and squish it back together. That's kind of why I'm doing this. That way you can see my mess ups too. So you just got to keep rolling it. And then when you get to the end, see, I can squish it, but I can't get this part because I don't have any nails anymore. And I ruined my nail, this nail. Because I clean off those strings and I go like this along so I can get the extra plastic off from the PC petrifier, and it broke my nail. It really roughed it up, so now I don't really have a nail to get under here and get in there anymore. But anyway, so then I was like, what is this about? And he's like, you've been giving your brother $25 check to spend in my store every day. And I was like, I have been what? So I was forced to file a police report against my own brother. Who does that? See how I straightened it out? It must not have been, excuse me, it's a little dry in the house. Isn't very, must not have been, very smooth cut paper. So yeah, let's just hold it like a cigarette. Just kidding. I don't smoke anymore. I haven't in 5 years. But yeah. So I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So then I went down to his store and he showed me like 5 checks that all had this crappy signature on them. And I'm like, that's not even my signature. And he's like, are these your checks? And I'm like, yeah, those are my checks, but that's not my signature. So then, I go down to my bank and get copies of every check that was not mine. And then for the police report, and my report ended up being like this thick. Because they needed a copy for me, a copy for them, a copy for the guy, and I don't know, but I felt very betrayed and very annoyed that my brother would do this to me. Well, and I don't remember my dad ever punishing him in any form. whatsoever for doing this. I mean, he would have punished him if my brother had stole his checks. Because back then, debit cards, it cost you money to have a debit card, and I never, didn't have enough money in my account when my brother wrote those checks, he almost put me in the red. I was like $5 from being in the red, and I barely had maybe $200 in that account. I never had more than $200 in my, if I was able to have, any money, I never really had more than $200 saved up, and I never really got to keep that amount of money either, because I always had medical stuff, because, I have glaucoma and I have to pay, back then when I did that, worked overnight, that small business person, he couldn't afford insurance for all of us, so I didn't have insurance and ended up having to pay Mayo Clinic out of my own pocket. And, my doctor was not exactly very cheap. He's still not very cheap. Although I think I end up paying more money now than I did back then. Not just because of inflation and years, but I think it's because now I have insurance and he can charge my insurance more money. I think that's what it is. But I don't know. Part of me is like, I don't know how else to positively motivate my child. I've given her so many tools, so many opportunities, so many things that it just, to me, it's like, what do I do? I feel like so hopeless. I feel like such a shitty parent, because where did I go wrong? I prided myself on being anything but what my dad has been for a parent. My dad is like, I don't even know why I ask him for advice, because all I end up doing is, bothering myself or hurt, it's like I'm continuously going, okay, what would my dad do? And then I would do the opposite of what that was, because but as far as my daughter goes, I'm at a loss for how else I can try to positively motivate her. At this point, she thinks that she's going to fail her grade, so what's the point of trying? And it's like, well, no one else, you can't blame anyone else for this. You did this to you. This was all you. And she's like, I know that. And I'm like, yeah, but how come you don't want to try to get better? And I'll sit there and I'll try to, have an adult conversation with her. And, because she's almost 17. If I can't have an adult, or at least, I'm sorry, all you 17-year-olds, you're not adults. You may think that you're adults, and some of you may be, but most of 17-year-olds do not understand the basics of how day-to-day life works. I mean, you can come across the 17-year-old that actually knows, well, I got to go to work every day. Then I got to spend money on, electricity, plumbing, garbage, blah, 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 for the house or apartment. I mean, with an apartment, most utilities are paid for. And sometimes you have to pay extra for something else, or like if you want to have cable or a phone line. I don't think people use phone lines anymore. They probably just use their cell phone, which would be probably under their own parents' pay instead of theirs. But, only because they're under contract, their parents are under a contract for X amount of years or whatever. But anyway, I want to have as a mature enough, conversation with her to where I want to express that I don't want to yell at her. I don't want to have to fight with her. I don't want to have to struggle daily to see if she does her homework. I don't want to have to do that. I want to have my fun little kid back. She's not a kid anymore, but I want to have and we do have good times. There are, days where, I can get her to do her stuff, and then, we have a good family night, but those are so far and few in between. And then I have to understand, well, is she going to go to college? I mean, other kids her age are already at, we're talking about getting a part-time job, getting their license. Okay, my daughter has had her permit for a year and a half now, and she still doesn't. I mean, she can go to get her, behind the wheel done if she decided to actually pursue that, because she has, I'm not sure how many hours she has already, because only I kept track of how many, how much time she spent behind the wheel with me. My husband never, doesn't keep track of that, but he's smart, so he probably keeps it in his head. I've asked him to write it down, but, it's been so long now. So it was, things from last summer, and he probably doesn't remember how much time she spent behind the wheel with him. And, that's all time that now she has to redo, but she's not interested in driving. And, I don't want to force her into driving, because all that's going to do is just make our insurance go through the roof, because we're going to be putting on another kid driver. And if she doesn't want to drive, I don't want to push her to do it, because I don't want to have her be a liability. I would love to have her drive, to learn how to drive, but she just doesn't have any interest in doing it. I think I'm getting close to, yep, I think all I got left now are that community education paper, which is, it's like newspaper material. So I'll finish up this last one. Yeah, it was from my gym. That's what this one was. It's just a pamphlet they send out once every so often. But this is already taking way longer than I expected, and have already been interrupted 3 times. But that's okay. I mean, I don't even know if people even like these, but I realize this isn't a great, position, but hey, you're at least seeing me roll paper. I mean, you're not seeing it from my angle, but, I am rolling these while I'm talking. But I really want my daughter to succeed in life. I don't want her to be, the running joke at home is she's going to be living at my home in my basement, for the rest of her life. And I don't really I want that to just stay a joke. I don't want it to become factual truth. I would love for her to, move out, find a boyfriend, or she doesn't have to. She could move out, go to college. At this point, her grade-wise, she probably can't get into a 4-year, so now it's probably a community college. And quite honestly, you can get a good job from doing community college education, or even if not. I mean, if she works, that's fine. Well, I don't think she has anything. She doesn't have any medical issues, so I guess if she wanted, she could enlist in the Army, Navy, some kind of military. She could enlist if she wanted. The only thing is we have to get her she has to do an eye surgery before, and that'll be pretty cool. This is a surgery that I want to have, but I can never have. I always wanted to have that surgery done, and to have my doctor tell me you'll never get it done because you have glaucoma. My daughter doesn't have glaucoma, so that's good. But she did inherit the eye issues from me, which I don't know if they were a part of my family or not. But I'm not going to talk about eye stuff. That's like, I could talk about that forever again too. But anyway, yeah, so if anybody else has any suggestions that are reasonable, because I won't listen to the ones that are going to be anything like my dad and stupid about, you don't try hard enough, you and your husband not being on the same page, is the reason why. And it's like, no, once I realized that my daughter is acting very much like an addict, a person who, doesn't want to admit that they have a problem. Those are like all the things that she may, that she has wrong, that she is in denial, that she doesn't think that she needs to do her homework, or she doesn't think she can or needs to, or I don't know. I don't even know if I'm giving it the right analogy when I say that to begin with anyway. It just, to me, that's how it helped me in my own little head. And just a lot of blah. But it's okay. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to do with her. I mean, of course I know I'm still going to love her. She is my daughter. I mean, if I didn't want to have any kids, I could have, done something about that. But, yeah, so I don't know. It just, I'm obviously doing something right. I mean, and most people are like, yeah, if your teenager's yelling at you and telling you that, screaming at you all the time, you're doing something right. And it's like, I don't know about that, because it sure doesn't feel like it when she yells at me. But she doesn't say, at least now she doesn't say, I want you to die, or I wish you would die. At least she doesn't say that anymore. Or at least she doesn't say it out loud. But I'm going to be done, and I'll work on these ones maybe later. I'm probably going to work on those pieces of paper that my friend had. Now, what those pieces of paper were, her daughter had come over. They came over today because they live outside of town. And they came over today because they had a doctor appointment, or she had a dentist appointment. And she liked some of my beads, but I didn't have any of the beads that, that she really liked. I don't make too many of those 1.5 inch long ones or whatever. I mean, that's just, I don't make that style of bead. But, and I said, okay, if you're really good at the dentist, I'll make you some beads. And apparently she really, that's positive motivation. If she was good at the dentist, I'd craft her something that she can, tangibly hold, and I don't mind spending the extra time to make her something, since she was, very good and did something. See, that stuff, those problem solvings are easy compared to my teenager problem. Oh, it's like once the teenager gets smarter it gets hard. It's like, you can't pull them aside. You can't spank them. You can't, well, I mean, I can't. I can't, she's a full grown kid, She's already in adult clothes. She's already wearing adult size shoes. But, all right, since I'm talking now, I can just put it like that and talk. So you don't have to keep seeing my double chin. But, yeah, I got to work on that. See, I poofed out because a couple of years, I guess it'll be 2 years now, because of my perimenopause. It just, when my hormones just went way out of whack, I just kind of I went from 190 to almost 260, and it's like, how? Oh, I don't even know. It happened within 2 months. It just boom, it just happened. And I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? So I'm trying to lose all that. So yes, I realize I'm a fat person, but I don't want you to comment about it because I already know. I see it in the mirror every day. I don't need you to tell me that I'm fat too. But anyway, I'm going to go work on those papers for that, kid. She's 6-year-old and she has issues just like any other kid, And so I want to make her day today, I think. So I'll work on that. So, all right, well, let me know if you actually, I might just chop this into 3 videos. I don't know. I'll look and see how long they actually all are. Alrighty, bye.